CJ gets some good news and could have. CJ Stroud gets an award. Texans get some good news. And could a new weapon emerge for Stroud on Sunday? Let's go inside the locker room, give you the latest on everything going on with the Texans.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock.
CJ Stroud.
Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah.
AFC Offensive Player of the Month. Not just the rookie version. We knew that was coming. But the AFC Offensive Player of the Month. Second player to win this award. Second rookie quarterback, I should say. And he got some good news as well. A little bit of bad news, but not too much. We'll hear from CJ Stroud in a sec. It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 Central, Sports Radio 610. Tomorrow, 11 o'clock, Brevin Jordan. We interviewed him straight off the practice field today. He was effing fantastic. You don't want to miss that interview on the Odyssey app. You don't want to miss that interview. I can promise you. He was good. Might get a lot of you upset, though. I did tell him that I didn't think he was going to make the team. I did tell him that I thought he should have taken the money from Dalton Schultz on the jersey because I didn't think he was going to make the team. So we had some fun with Brevin Jordan, who you might hear about a little bit later on. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. It is a Locker Room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. Before I bring in Brandon Scott, let's just go through the big news of the day involving the Texans. We'll also discuss this with B. Scott. But Dalton Schultz doesn't practice. And this is really the only major piece of bad news for the Texans when it comes to the injuries. Dalton Schultz not going to practice, and this and probably not going to play. So this is going to be you're going to be dependent on Brevin Jordan, and you're going to be dependent on maybe more wide receiver sets, maybe more Andrew Beckett tight end. I don't know, but Dalton Schultz been a big weapon for CJ Stroud. Doesn't look like he's going to play. Sheldon Rankins, he also didn't practice. So Sheldon Rankins really kind of been downhill since the Cincy game. He's been banged up. He doesn't practice as well. That's the bad news. So we got the bad news out of the way. The good news is that Tank Dell, Noah Brown, limited participants. Now, maybe I can ask B. Scott. I think he was somewhat on the scene out there. At first, it looked like Tank Dell wasn't practicing. He wasn't out there stretching. There were people tweeting that Tank Dell did not practice, and then all of a sudden he did. So he must have been just kind of a late arrival. So Tank Dell looks like we might finally get to see all the receivers together at once, although you take away Dalton Schultz, so you really consider him a receiver. But you had Noah Brown out there as well. CJ Stroud, who we'll hear from in a sec, George Fant, Jimmy Ward, that's big, Laramie Tunsil, and Hanson, all full participants. So that's where things sit. Let's bring in Brandon Scott. He was on the scene. B. Scott, how big of a deal do you think it is that CJ is not going to have Dalton Schultz on Sunday?
Man, I think it's a real big deal. I mean, no disrespect to Brevin Jordan, but Dalton Schultz has been the one consistently productive tight end that they've had. So to have him out or to have him not practicing at the very least and to have it appear like he's going to be out, I think is a pretty big deal. And then the hamstring, I would say just beyond even just this game itself, I'd be concerned with, and this could be, the Houston sports follower in me, but just a concern of, hey, how bad is the hamstring given hamstring history, soft tissue history, injury histories around here. So yeah, man, I think it's a pretty big deal, man. You talk about going from Dalton Schultz to just having Brevin Jordan and what's the other guy, Siebert, So between those two, I mean, I think it's an issue.
Yeah, and I mean, it is nice to have all the receivers in. It'll be interesting to see kind of how they attack this thing. I thought it was really freaking hilarious, and we're going to talk about this on In the Loop, but I watched Sean Payton, and it's not. I mean, it's pretty well documented how I feel about Sean Payton. But by the way, talking about the intro, brother, you're in timeout. I'm not. There's a lot of stuff. You can call me ugly. You can call me stupid. You can say you talk about the intro. You're in timeout, brother. Put your nose in the corner. But the one thing that I do think about, I don't even know where I was on that. The whole Schultz injury. What were we talking about, bro?
Yeah, well, we're talking about the impact of it.
Yeah, the overall impact of it. I do wonder, like, as far as like how are they going to use the run game, and as far as like Bobby Slowick and stuff, or does Dalton Schultz impact the run game one way or another? Does it lead you to pass a little bit more? I just like I don't. He's been blocking better. He hadn't been blocking great, but he's been blocking better.
Yeah, he's been blocking better, but I think more than anything, it's just the ripple effect that impacts it, because that means there's more Brevin Jordan in the game. But I feel like their blocking tight ends are still more so Beck, and then what's the dude? Siebert? What's the other dude? The dude that came off the Cowboys practice squad.
Dude.
So yeah. So I think that's what we're talking about being down to. So yeah, no, it definitely impacts it just because from a numbers game standpoint. But even though he's blocking better, I'm not gonna just all of a sudden start characterizing Schultz just like this.
And what I was talking about is I was talking about the Sean Payton thing.
That's right.
I was talking about the Sean Payton thing. We have long days.
Literally, as you were getting into it, just some inside baseball. As you were getting into it, I was having to yell at my kids to be quiet. I had to put the thing on mute. While you were getting into it, I was having to tell them to be quiet. So we were doing a bunch of different things at once.
All love, but the Sean Payton. So I first of all, he's sick. Like he's legit sick. Like he sounds like crap. I think he coughed probably like 26 times during his media availability. But he's talking about the Texans like the Saints are like in their heyday when he was there. Like he's sitting there saying, "Oh yeah, it's a very dangerous opponent. It's a very capable opponent." Brother, y'all are 6-5. It's not. He's talking about it like it's like a pat on the head or something like that. Like y'all are underdogs, but he's talking about it as if the Texans are like he's like people are like thinking that the Broncos are going to go there and roll. I don't know what's with this guy.
I seen a little mix in trying to follow both the what's the Denver media response. Like I feel like they're a little bit worried about this game, but you're seeing a lot of the homer picks of picking the Broncos to win the game. But I don't feel like most of the people that follow the games and cover the games and really pay attention to it, the ones that are not sick like Sean Payton, are sleeping on this matchup or like looking at it like it's going to be anything but a close game. Two teams that's really just like fighting for a playoff spot.
How do you feel about the possibility offseason that was discussed about Sean Payton potentially being the Texans head coach?
Yeah, I mean, in retrospect, I'm obviously just good that it ended up being DeMeco Ryans. And honestly, it would have been weird. Like, to me, I think it would have been weird had the Texans landed with Sean Payton and DeMeco Ryans had landed somewhere else, And then on the other side of it, it feels like the Broncos made the most sense for Sean Payton out of all of the other spots, unless you were going to be the one to make the argument that the Texans were going to get it right at quarterback before you knew anything. So I think that's the that's kind of my thought on it. Is like it worked out exactly really the way it was supposed to, given DeMeco's tie here and all of that, and them trying to. The Broncos had a specific situation where they were trying to kind of fix a quarterback, whereas the Texans were trying to find one. And like, if you're going to try to find a quarterback fixer, then that's what you should be looking for, either Sean Payton or Shane Steichen or an offensive coach. Whereas with the Texans starting with a blank slate, it made a lot more sense to go with DeMeco, somebody that is invested in the area and actually cares about the organization and is trying to take it into the right direction and not just like pouncing on an opportunity the way it seemed like Sean Payton was. So yeah, man. I mean, I think it just worked out perfectly, man.
I'm looking at this schedule, and I kind of gravitated towards this today. I know that quarterbacks aren't on the field at the same time, but I mean, when I would think I would love to see like a study where, with all the advanced stats, like the team that has the higher rated quarterback, however you want to rate it, how often they win and how often they lose. Like I would love to just see that stat, especially if it's especially equally ranked quarterbacks. And Russell Wilson's coming to town. We can say what we want about Russell, but he's a fringe Hall of Fame quarterback at the very least. He's a champion. He's playing well, all that. After this, like if you get past Russell Wilson and you separate yourself from the Broncos really by 2 games because of the head-to-head, you've got Tim Boyle on Sunday. You've got Will Levis twice. You've got Gardner Minshew, and you might have Joe Flacco on Christmas Eve. I mean, if you can get past this game, and I get that I'm ignoring the physicality of those teams because all those teams can like have potential to be very physical. So I'm not acting like it's just like some sort of crew session. But if we're just to look at the quarterback position, I don't know. I don't know that in Texans history they've faced a worse array of quarterbacks in a 5-game stretch. I would be hard pressed to find it.
In a 5-game stretch, which is what we're talking about here, I would be interested to see. I'd have to do the research to like actually look at it. But I will say to your point about, hey man, they should be able to roll over these teams because they got the better quarterback. This is the same. I mean, not the exact same team because I think they've grown since then. But I'm old enough to remember when they made Desmond Ridder look like an actual NFL starting quarterback.
This is true.
And I know that, I don't think Bryce Young set the world on fire or anything when they played against the Panthers, but they lost to him too. So, it is not out of the realm of possibility. I don't want to give them too much credit, more credit than they deserve in that regard. But I mean, I will say to that point, like it shows how like important the opportunity is. Like you've shown what you are as a team and that you can compete. And now you got this slate of quarterbacks that honestly, hey, DeMeco, what's up, DeMeco? What you got, baby? Let's scheme up something to make this happen against the Gardner Minshews and the Joe Flaccos and who did you say, Tim Boyles of the world. Like, hey man, hey, it's your time. We do this thing every week. Whenever I come in there with y'all, and even in the other days on y'all show, like whose game is this? Is this a Bobby Slowick game? Is this a DeMeco game? Is this a CJ game? Is this a run the ball, get it to Devin Singleton, whatever? This is a DeMeco stretch right here, man. I need you to be scheming up some mad. I don't even got to be like complex, but it's got to be something for these cats, for these nondescript quarterbacks that they about to face.
So we just watched the Thursday night football game, and the Cowboys they squeaked one out. Tyler Lockett dropping the ball just completely turned the game around. Seattle was up 5. He drops the ball at the 30. I don't even know if he scores. I don't know if he gets there, but you're in field goal range. And then they end up going for it on 4th down, and they end up getting stuff. But I'm bringing that up not to update you on what you can look up on your phone, but I'm bringing that up because at the end of the game on 4th down, when Dallas needed to make a play and they needed to get Seattle off the field, Micah Parsons came through, and Micah Parsons made it impossible for Geno Smith to even get the ball off, much like what Josh Allen did on Sunday for the Jags. He was the best player on the field. We haven't really seen, and this is not, it's not like a either or, but we haven't seen Will Anderson, although there's there's good things, and I don't dispute the value of Will Anderson, but we haven't seen Will Anderson really do things like that. Like we've seen stretches, but as far as like just game-breaking plays like that, we've seen a blocked field goal. We've seen some really good run stoppage. We've seen pressures, but even in a game where Cam Robinson goes out, You don't see that from Will Anderson. Is that just something we're not going to see? Because when you're talking about games, I would love for this to be the Will Anderson game. I mean, Denver allows a lot of pressure at the right tackle position. I saw that Storm Report put it up, and it's near the top of the league. Like, are we going to see that or not? And have you been disappointed in what you've seen from Will Anderson?
Yeah, I would say I'm disappointed in that the production, that the numbers have not been there. Like I do feel like the nerd numbers that we hear about, that we roll our eyes at, and I'm right there with you on some of the, like, don't tell me about how much the win rate and all these other kind of things. Like I'm not into the numbers themselves, but I do feel like they pass the eye test of what I'm seeing, like him getting close sometimes, being disruptive at times. There are also times where it seems like he disappears and he's not out there. And I think those are the moments that are most disappointing, that it doesn't always feel like he's out there. And I feel like earlier in the season, it did feel that way. And more recently, it's kind of been like spotty, if you will. So if to, I guess, answer it more succinctly, I feel like I'm more disappointed more recently than I was back when we were having all the conversation about how he's only got the 1 sack, and I know he's got whatever it is, 2 or 3 now or whatever it is now. But whenever that was, that 7-week stretch there where it's like he's only got 1 sack, and what's that about? I wasn't as like worried about him then, and I wouldn't say I'm worried about him now, but it wasn't as disappointing then as maybe it is now. I would also point out, I feel like, and the people in the comment section, everybody that's watching, listening, tell me what y'all think about this. But I also feel like he's playing with some pretty decent interior defensive line play where he should be able to make a little bit more noise. Like Sheldon Rankins and Malik Collins, I don't think are like, going to be like anybody's all pro or anything. But
what if they had Sweat?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, hey, go ahead and get Huntsville's own, UT's own Sweat, and you like I think he's got like, borderline Quentin Williams type of impact type of dude. So I think that would be major. But I mean, they don't have that dude right now. But I do think that they're pretty good. So
they're not bad.
They're good enough to me to where I think working alongside them or working with them, that Will Anderson should be a little bit more productive. I say the one thing that I've been disappointed in, and look, it's hard to be disappointed in a dude like that. I think that's maybe the reason why you don't see as a much maybe criticism or critical writing about him, is because there is maybe some babying. You know how kind of the core here is like, it's not necessarily as like aggressively going to be critical and all of that.
Oh yeah,
but I also
the radio crew will. I mean, the radio crew.
Right. I guess I shouldn't overgeneralize like that, but I'm just kind of thinking of it at large. But I think that for me, I'll just speak for myself. Yeah. I think that him not having like moves, and I've talked about this. I'd like to see more moves. I love that he's like,
fundamentally sound and always at the right place and always knows his assignment and all that.
And he is like, decently strong for a rookie, and has some physical traits where you can see, you're like, oh yeah, I see what everybody's talking about there. But it's like there ain't no moves. Where's this like spin move and counters, and like it doesn't feel like and I'm not trying to be like I'm Mr. Sophisticated pass rush guy, but this don't look like what sophisticated pass rusher would look like. I can tell you that. It's just like a strong kind of he seems more raw than you would think somebody that's as accomplished of a college player as he was, as accomplished of a college program as he was. He seems to be a little bit more raw than I was expecting him to be.
Yeah, I think he's a solid player. I'm not sitting here saying they made some mistake on the trade. I'm not there. I'm also not here. This is Clint Sterner on the show Hughley. This was them talking about Will Anderson a little while back. And I mean, if they had this opinion a couple weeks ago, I think it's safe to say you can hear them 2 to 6 and watch them here on YouTube on Sports Radio 610. I think it's safe to say this opinion is probably only increased.
I got to say this, man. I'm a bit concerned about Will. I'm concerned from the standpoint that, I'm not seeing that trait, that special elite game-changing trait that I would hope to see from a guy that plays his position. I'm not saying he's supposed to be Micah Parsons right now. I'm not saying he's supposed to be TJ Watt right now. I'm not saying he's supposed to be Myles Garrett right now. But we're 7 games into this pup. We're 8 weeks into this thing. John Grenard, to me, should not be jumping off the table potential game-changing ability more. He is an exceptional when it comes to setting the edge and stopping the run. I think there may be a real chance to say there in about 5 years, there's not a better edge rusher who sets the edge better than him. I think that's a real thing. I think he is relentless in terms of his effort, and his motor is serious, which I don't just take for granted. I think is a skill. But you put a double team on him, he's not going to get to the quarterback. At this point in his career right now, I feel like you would see some of it by now. I'm concerned. I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying that he can't gain this and be the guy that you hope he is, because he's, everything else, he's something. But on the field, boy, I don't know if he's got the game-changing ability.
And I think you're spot on, man. When you talk about Will Anderson, we don't have to preface everything with what he does well. We understand the kid's a good football player. We get that. But the truth of the matter is there is a lack of twitch, there's a lack of explosion, and there's a lack of pass rushing toolbox, if you will, with Will Anderson right now. There's only so much you can J.J. Watt offseason your way to. And so that's my concern is you can work as hard as you want, and you can develop some different pass rushing techniques and moves and fill up that toolbox. But if you don't have like an elite level of twitch or explosion or power, then it's going to be very, very hard to be an elite pass rusher in this league. And when you were drafted number 3 overall, even if that's all they gave up, even if they had a number 3 overall pick and that's where you were drafted, the expectations are as you draft a guy, and I know coaches will tell you, we don't have expectations. No, man, the expectations when you draft an edge rusher, number 3 overall, is for that guy to come in and be a game-changing, game-wrecking presence off of one side or the other of your defense. I don't know, or I haven't seen yet how Will Anderson is going to get to that point.
People text in, he's the rookie, Ron. You got to have time to develop. I understand that. What I'm saying to you, though, is I watched Joey Bosa as a rookie. Like, there were flashes, bam. I know the one people throw is JJ. There were athletic freak flashes of, damn, you can't teach that. Myles Garrett, damn sure of it, but you can't teach that. Micah Parsons, right off the bat, you saw things, and he wasn't even a pass rusher when they brought him in. And I just, like, you can't, the only thing that he does to me that I've seen up to this point that it's hard to teach, and that is just relentless pursuit and effort. Like that, the motor, which I think is a very real thing.
All right. It is the Locker Room, number 1 source for Texans digital content. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. Let's get to some of the comments here. And I thought we made it pretty clear that we like Will Anderson as a player, and there's not like a write-off. I thought we made that a little bit clear. Scott says, appreciate you for coming through, Scott. People need to remember JJ had only 5 sacks as a rookie. Give Will a chance to develop. Giving him a chance to develop. But quite frankly, I think he's further along than JJ was as a rookie. I just, I think it comes down to what where you got him. And maybe there were some expectations to where we would at least have significant plays. That's kind of where my mind's at. But I think we've made it relatively clear to any level-headed person that's not in their feels that, it's a discussion to at least have.
I actually would want to also, before we even get into any more comments, just since we just played the audio of Ron and Clint, just say, for the record, that I disagree slightly that he hasn't shown any elite traits or that he has any like I think Clint put it really well when he said whatever he said about not having any twitch and actual pass rush repertoire. I think that's a good way to put it. But when I think they slipped in there that they didn't feel like he had really, I think at times he has shown elite strength, and I think there have been other times where he's kind of run up against some folks that have had some, maybe you could call them welcome to the NFL moments. But I do think that there have been times where he has shown an elite ability and just needs counters and just kind of, He just needs more.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff he has, quite frankly, there's more value to that than freelancing and getting like 9 sacks and stuff. So I'm not questioning that. Zach says, "Is Parsons a rook?" That's kind of a bad example, Zach. I mean, Parsons. That's not. I mean, if you want to, Parsons was a first-team All-Pro. I think he had 13 sacks his rookie year. It was all over the place. So I don't know that that's a good one. Scott says TJ had 7 sacks as a rookie. Okay. That would be good. Dennis, all in his feelings. Good God, I can't imagine this guy.
No, Dennis. No, we're not, dog.
No, nobody's doing that. I mean, that's someone who hangs up on his girlfriend every time she doesn't answer the phone on the first ring right there, or boyfriend, whatever. That's just nobody's writing off Will Anderson at all. Not even a little bit. My question with this whole thing was, are we going to get a Will Anderson game? Like, are we going to get a Will Anderson game? Not like a complete total football game, which is just as valuable. And I think Will Anderson is going to be one of the long-term pieces, but are we going to get like a Will Anderson game where we say they won because of him? Even Clowney would give you that. I mean, there would be like, you would at least like say what you want about Clowney, and there might, quite frankly, in fairness, there would be times where Clowney would maybe cost you games because he did not have the discipline and the natural maturity, football maturity that Will Anderson has. But there are also times where, damn, we won that game because of him, So that's just, I wonder do you get that? Is that like the biggest deal? Because the one thing like about it is it doesn't have to be an either or thing. It's just the expectations. Hell, I said he was going to be one of the 10 best players in the division. So I think very highly of Will Anderson. I've had him on the show. I enjoy Will Anderson. Just question.
Yeah. I've got, just based off of being around Will a little bit, and again, not just, this is not like trying to just stroke the athlete or anything, but this is based off of being around Will and watching him play. I would be shocked if he fails. Like, I think it's in play that maybe he doesn't become, Joey Bosa or something like that, or Nick, either Bosa for that matter. But like, I would be shocked if he failed, if he wasn't like at some point and a regular double-digit sack guy.
The one thing I disagree with, and I hear this all the time, in the draft, and I think Ron said it there, and he said it a couple of times with the draft, like this notion that because you drafted him top 3, I mean, obviously in an ideal world you would like for them to be something, but I mean, you can get a solid, good football player in the top 10, and that doesn't mean he's automatically a bust. Like, you can get, like, even the Browns, like, you can draft Baker Mayfield. It's 4 years of ball. It might not have worked out, but it's not like sometimes the guys, it's not there, So I don't think just because you drafted him there, he has to be Max Crosby. I just think he's talented enough to where, on top of all the fundamentally good stuff, when Cam Robinson leaves and he's crying on the sidelines with the towel over his head, I would like to see maybe Trevor Lawrence get sacked once or twice, and not go sackless. That's all I'm saying, especially when you have a guy that we think as highly of as Will Anderson.
Yeah, but I think the reaction is heightened, and the patience or lack thereof, like, that's accelerated, I think, because of the trade. It's like, it's not just that he's a number 3 overall pick, but I think number 3 overall pick plus the trade, where the organization is or was at that point, I think mattered a lot. Did matter a lot. And so when you add that to, that's recent. You add that to, rookie year, you're expecting to see like some kind of, and this is kind of me projecting the opinion of the person that I think is overly critical of Will Anderson. But I think this is the case maybe for a lot of us. It's like, all right, they just picked him number 3. They didn't just pick him number 3, but they also just traded to pick him number 3. Traded an extra pick to go get him at number 3. They also passed on weapons and other good players that they could have picked in that spot.
I think they liked him more than CJ.
Yeah. I mean,
I think he was their top guy.
yeah. And so, and imagine that they like this guy more than
I think. I mean, that's not.
But think about that with even the possibility that maybe they like this guy. The fact that they traded up for him suggests that they liked him at least as much, if not more. So like they view this dude in the same realm as the guy who ended up turning out to change the franchise and turn the franchise around and being the franchise quarterback. So like if he's viewed in that realm, you want to see more earlier.
Well, let's go to the other side of the rock. What the hell's up with this offensive line? What are we looking at here?
Yeah, dude.
I'm trying to figure it out because, like, let me put it this way, and this goes back to my expectations thing that I always, lay out in here when talking about any player from Jalen Petrie to Dameon Pierce, etc. I think you look at players based on expectations. Sometimes they have expectations coming into the league and they surpass those expectations. So what I expected it's a fluid process. Sports are a fluid process. So what I expected or thought CJ Stroud would do his rookie year, it's kind of increased now. Now, if he struggles, that doesn't mean that I'm going to judge him. But I look at CJ Stroud already. He has shown the ability to play elite football and right there on the cusp of elite football. That wasn't the expectation at the start of the year. Other times you'll judge based on, and this might not be fair. It's not about hating, but how much of a piece of the pie are they getting when it comes to the salary cap? Because it's not like baseball where, to quote Adam Spillane, it's not my money and you can, buy as much as you want or get as, you can buy as many players as you want, etc. It's a piece of the pie, especially when you have a rookie quarterback, and you need to have some sort of return on investment, or else it's never a good thing. But it's a really bad thing when you have that 3-4 year window with the rookie quarterback. This offensive line, if this when I talk about the Texans corners, when Steven Nelson maybe is going back and forth and battling, or Shaq Griffin might be getting picked on. Rest in peace. Not like literally, but Shaq Griffin's getting picked on, or even Dameon Pierce. And Dameon Pierce isn't like 1,000-yard back or anything like that. I'm okay with it. Like, Dameon Pierce was a 4th-round pick. Shaq Griffin was straight off the street. Steven Nelson, year to year, he's given you way more than you could ever even realistically ask for. I don't know what to expect from this offensive line, because part of me says that, like I have with Jalen Petrie, where I've just decided I'm not going to look at Jalen Petrie as a fringe Pro Bowl player right now. I'm just going to expect him to play solid, good, decent. If there's a few mistakes here or there, even if they're significant, I'm not going to get too mad at it anymore, because I feel like I drove myself crazy this season doing that. I haven't done that with this offensive line, but they've shown me more than Jalen Petrie that, and I know there's been injuries, but they've shown me that this is not, like, no matter what the situation is, like, this is not a good offensive line. And we can talk about injuries, but think about what we're talking about. We're talking about, like, centers that were fighting for their job. We're talking about Kendrick Green. We're talking about Kenyon Green, who was just a complete disaster. We're talking about all these offensive line injuries, but the reality of the situation is, before this week, you had Titus Howard, who's getting paid a ton. For whatever reason, he wasn't good enough at right tackle to validate trying to find someone who could be as good as him at guard, even though we've seen multiple guys be as good as he was at guard. Laramie Tunsil's the highest paid tackle in the league. At the very least, he's a really, really good pass blocker and an average, I guess, run blocker. And then you have Shaq Mason, who is, I think, one of the 15 highest paid guards. They gave him an extension, and we haven't seen him, and he's been okay. So what am I supposed to think of this offensive line? Like, what the hell am I supposed to expect?
Yeah, I do think that the expectations had to change after the injuries. Like, the things that I would also point out, in addition to everything that you said, is that Titus Howard did basically come into the season hurt. Like, he starts the season somewhat displaced because they had to find somebody to replace him because of his injury. the guy that they find that actually works out. Like the one offensive line move that we probably wouldn't critique or wouldn't be critical of and probably be celebratory of is the one where they replaced Titus Howard because of Titus Howard's injury. It would be signing George Fant,
Dude,
one of the more underrated.
Awesome. He's
one
been
of the more,
awesome.
Yeah, man. He's one. I did a segment last week whenever I was filling in about. I think it was like a Black Friday segment, like the best bargains, the best bargains on the Texans team.
He's been awesome.
Yeah, and he's got to be at the top of the list, somewhere towards the top of the list. So that's like the thing that they did right. But then when
crazy, but you know what's crazy, and I'm not trying to interrupt you because I think I'm adding to it. What's crazy about it is that they're so damn good at just finding guys. Like in a short time, like salute to Nick Caserio. Here's your flowers. Like they've done such a good job of bringing guys off the streets that maybe nobody wants. Yet the guys that they look at the most and they invest in are the ones that you're just like, is this really necessary? Like, do I have to pay Shaq Mason if y'all can take Kendrick Green, and I hope he gets well, who was getting turned to a fullback in Pittsburgh, who they did whole shows on when he got cut, and he comes here, and he's a big part of you winning in Jacksonville. Like, if you can bring in George Fant, and I don't really notice anything worse at right tackle than it was when Titus Howard was here, who you gave that contract to. Like, if you're so good at that, why do you have to give all this money? If you can go to Jacksonville and win a game without 4 offensive linemen, and then you can win in Indianapolis, and you can't run the ball consistently, then what's the return on investment? Because it's almost the thing that's frustrating about it is it's not as simple as like they're giving this money or anything like that to the offensive line. And by the way, good for Titus Howard for getting his extension, especially with this injury. I'm happy for him, man. I'm very happy for the man Titus Howard of that. So I mean, no disrespect by this, but if they're so good at that, then shouldn't they be like looking somewhere else? Like once they need corners because in the offseason, you're probably going to need corners, right? Because Stingley's going to be the only one under contract, I believe. You're probably going to eventually need like more playmaking linebackers. I don't know if how long Jimmy Ward's going to be. You might need to look at some of that depth. Like I'm talking to people like that are getting really excited and they're like, oh, this offseason we need linemen. I'm like, linemen? Are you kidding me? We need linemen. Like, have you ever asked your parents, like, hey, can I get I really want this hat? They're like, I just bought you that $25 fitted Astros hat. You ain't getting a damn hat. Yeah. So like, what? Yeah. I don't know how to explain it. It's just crazy.
No, I think you were actually hit on the point.
To it. Patterson was good. You know what Patterson was? He was a 6th-round pick.
6th-round pick.
You know what Juice Scruggs was a 2nd-round pick.
Yep.
Green was a top 15 pick at guard.
Yeah, I was just about to go there. You basically went everywhere where I was going to go. It's like if you knew that you could just go pick Kendrick Green up off the street from the Steelers, and he could be just as good as, if not better than, Kenyon Green that you drafted with a 1st-round pick, then you would have just done that. If you had known Jared Patterson as a 6th-round pick could be available to you way before and possibly be just as effective as the 2nd-round pick, or that your bench guy, Michael Dieter, could come in there and fill in a pinch. I'm not saying that should be your long-term plan. But if you knew that your hodgepodge of offensive linemen could give you as much as they're giving you, and it not be that big of a discrepancy between that and the guys that you've paid a lot, then maybe you don't pay those guys as much as you paid them. But I do get, like, I don't blame them for at least trying and wanting to build the team from within, start in the trenches and build a team like that. I just don't think it's necessarily worked and materialized the way you would expect it to, or the way it ideally would when you spend the most money of anybody in the NFL. Like, that's the thing. It's not just that they're spending a lot. They spending more than anybody. More than anybody. And you're like, it doesn't look or feel like an offensive line that is being spent on more than anybody.
That's what drives me crazy. Like with the Titus Howard thing is like, yeah, he wasn't good at guard. I get that. But they seem to know what to do. Like they seem to know, like it doesn't, like this coaching staff, outside of like me bitching about running back share and a few 3rd down calls, like this coaching staff seems to know what they're doing. So when you have a right tackle that is going to be one of the top 5 highest paid right tackles in the league last year. And you've shown that you can stick serviceable guards out there. This guy being out there at guard and not being that good at it makes me wonder, how good of a right tackle can he really be? Or is George Fant just that effing good? Because the reality is you're not going to be able to bring back George Fant next year, I don't think. So that is what is so confusing about me with this offensive line. And we've been living it forever. Like, we've been living it forever. You go all the way back to 18, like 19, like there's so much investment in the offensive line, and for whatever reason, whether you're using draft picks or not, they can't get to the point where they're an elite O-line. And maybe next year's the year when Titus comes back at tackle. Shaq Mason's been here a year. All these, God, there are going to be some, man, we're going to have to nerd the hell out. I'm going to have to really keep my fundamentals and respect the radio audience, because this is kind of like this is not a radio talk. Like, this is not a radio conversation. This would never make In the Loop where we're going this deep in the sticks. That's why it's the Texans stream. But like, next year, good God, you look at all these interior offensive linemen coming back in all these battles, man. I felt like you could do like 2-hour shows on that.
Yeah. So they're going to go from the issue that they had this year, which was in trying to address their injury issues, they ended up with a surplus of tackles and a shortage of interior linemen. And then next year, when George Fant is gone, because he's going to get a little bit of change from somewhere else, he's going to get paid a little bit from somewhere else. And it's just, kind of back to the normal thing of Titus Laramie and, Charlie Heck is your swing tackle or whatever they ended up doing.
I think Heck's up this year, right? Is this 4?
Yeah, he's the same draft as Grenard, right? I think
4.
So yeah. But so whatever happens with that, so those will be your tackles, but then you'll have this surplus, which I'm going to welcome this. We'll be in the sticks, and maybe we won't do it on the radio, but we'll do it on everybody's various different streams, yours and all the others that we were on, and just kind of the Texans internet community, I guess. But like it'll be, to me at least, interesting what they do with it'll be a good one of those good problems to have of like, okay, the center left guard situation you feel like is in capable hands or optimistic hands between the idea of a healthy combination of Juice Scruggs, Jared Patterson, and Kenyon Green. And then Kendrick Green, I think, is under contract.
I wonder what Kenyon Green's going to come back like, man. I am so interested in that.
I am too, but I'm also kind of relieved that I'm not like feeling like I'm dependent on it. Yeah. If it doesn't work out, like it's something that I think we'll be able to, like, it'll suck for Kenyon Green, and something that I guess we can continue to criticize the pick from a larger picture standpoint. But I also don't feel like it'll be the end of the world, because I think like they got some other answers there.
So Brevin Jordan, this is the biggest game of his career. We interviewed him straight off the practice field. It's a badass interview at 11. Like, if this guy ever gets good, he's going to be a star around here. I flat out asked him. He interrupted me. I flat out asked him. I asked him, hey, is this the biggest game of your career? This is what he said.
Dalton Schultz, we saw him on my aha moment. We had Dalton Schultz on, and injury report. We saw you make a big play the other day, and a radio guy like me is calling this the biggest game of Brevin Jordan's career. Am I being dramatic?
Damn straight. Nah, you're damn straight right, man. It's a huge opportunity for me. I'm excited for it.
It's been an interesting season for you, but you're not shying away. This is the biggest game of your carear.
No, man, this is a huge game. This is no question the biggest game of my career, man. This is the first time in my 3 years, man. I'm like, I like really, get to be out there and be active, and so I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm just gonna go out there and just do what I do in the run game and in the pass game.
Damn straight. I mean, he's not sugarcoating it. Damn straight. I don't know how that makes me feel. I think he's capable. And the other thing about it that I noticed, and I asked him about this. Check out the interview tomorrow, 11, YouTube, Twitch, Sports Radio 610. My aha moment with him when it came to me like reevaluating what I thought. And I told him in the interview that I thought he wasn't going to make the team. And he agreed. Like, he was like, yeah, it was going to be an uphill battle, especially after he got hurt. But I think you might've been on with us that day. But when we were like whining about CJ Stroud not having media availability and why isn't this guy at the podium, and Davis Mills goes before him and then CJ goes up. Dude, one of the first names he freaking mentioned was Brevin Jordan. And I was like, damn, okay, well, maybe this guy has a shot because he's up there and he's like mentioning, Nico, Tank, Laramie, Titus. And he mentions Brevin Jordan. I'm like, okay, well. And he actually said that CJ DM'd him 25, I think it was 25, 30 minutes after he got drafted, said, can't wait to work with you. That's a quote.
Yeah.
So, and then you saw him, he moved the chains third down the other day. Like
Brevin is one of those who I've noticed just over the years is like a darling among the football nerd community, and not the no offense to anybody else, but not like the posers, some of the people out here on the internet that are like pretending to be, but like the actual inside nerdy. Like I remember John Harris when they drafted. I was running the stream. I think we were streaming or doing video of some kind whenever they drafted him, because that was it was after COVID, but either way, like they're drafting Brevin Jordan.
He had him 39 on the Harris 100, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a top 40 on the Harris 100, and that's not like after the draft thing. That's a before the draft.
Loved him. Absolutely loved him. I know he was real popular amongst his rookie class. The five, whatever it was, five guys that got drafted in that 2021 class. So he's kind of a darling and a favorite among like the football people for whatever reasons those are. But he has like, it's weird because he has shown glimpses and then he like just sort of disappears. But I think that this is, it kind of goes without saying, they need tight end help anyway. Like even if Dalton Schultz was out there, like they're thin at the position beyond that anyway. So then you put the possibility and likelihood out there that Schultz is not going to play and Brevin Jordan is the only recognizable name at the position. Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's a huge moment for him. And I would agree with kind of the point that you made. Like I thought that it was ridiculous for him not to take the money. If it was anything of like more than like, if it was more than like $5,000, which I know for a fact it was, I think he should have taken it. And because being on the team is a blessing at that point for whatever number that you could get. But he believed in himself, betted on himself, and now, like, I think this is more like, think about it, man. This dude has not been targeted more than twice all year. Hasn't been targeted more than twice all year.
Touchdown, though. I might bet on a Brevin. I might bet on a Brevin Jordan touchdown this week. I bet the odds are like 12-1 or something. I might bet just because.
Yeah, he's a decent like touchdown target. I mean, he had a couple his rookie year, and then I think last year, three, right, three, and within like a 6-week span, or so, 3 in a 6-week span. Like he had a moment there where it really looked like he was going to kind of shine. And then I know he fell off quite a bit last year, but yeah, man, like CJ likes him. I think the question, and kind of going back to your point about talking about him in the press conference, I feel like, if I'm remembering correctly, that the question had a lot more to do with like fellowship and sort of the Christian aspect of their relationship.
About players, in this press conference, it was, and I actually asked him like what he said because CJ said it, but in the first press conference, it was like, I think it was about like teammates that he can't wait to play with or something like that. And maybe that is connected. Maybe I'm grasping for straws. He is 40-1 to score a touchdown this week.
Ooh.
Holy crap,
man! That is actually tempting. That is tempting because I think even the bet is to score a touchdown, but I think even if he doesn't, he's certainly going to be involved, which makes you want to lean that way. Makes that an intriguing bet. Yeah, man. No, I think that we focus a lot on with Brevin, like, oh, he's not a blocking tight end. Is he a block? He's kind of undersized. But the thing that he does well.
Oh, to score first touchdown, 40-1.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's not anytime. I was gonna say, damn.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's really. I guess that's more putting them on the table. But
No, that would be insane.
Yeah, you got one of the commenters, Scott Green, saying that he shows flashes. He's the ultimate
8-1.
8-1. Okay, 8-1.
That's good.
Yeah. Very, very intriguing. Very intriguing. Because, like I said, he's going to be involved. He's going to be in the mix. And also, I will point out, I think this is a very football nerd thing to point out. But the Broncos, for all the talk about, I think in the past about their defense, like, they've been known to have a good defense for a while. But this year,
turnovers. They got Surtain basically holding down one side of the field.
But they also, Surtain is the elite of the elite, right? But around that, like, they miss tackles. We talk about it a lot with the Texans, but the Broncos miss tackles as well, and their linebackers miss tackles. So Brevin is a smaller, he's not a big body tight end. So I got a tough time imagining if they would have trouble tackling Brevin. But if he's able to be shifty, or whatever term Clint would use in this situation, twitchy, if he can be any of those things, any of those characteristics, then I think they got a real good shot to make some plays, get some yak.
Yeah, the good thing about the Texans is, and I don't know if this is they don't really have, they spread the love so much that, like, it's not like Surtain can say, like, Bill, this is a good question. Who would Bill Belichick, like the old Bill Belichick, he takes away your best player? Who the hell is he taking away? Like, of a Texan skill position guy, like who's he going at?
I mean, it's
Tank.
It's Tank Dell.
Okay.
Yeah, that's easy. Are you serious?
I mean,
and like how effective it is, and what do you actually do? I don't know. I think
Tank is their best player. I just don't know. Like, could he look at Nico? I mean, Noah Brown was really good 3 weeks ago, which is weird. I mean, he was literally a top 3 receiver for a couple weeks, which is, I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, and the good thing about that, this is not a knock on Noah Brown, but the good thing about that is Noah Brown can have 850 receiving yard games in a row, and ain't nobody gonna start game planning.
Take him out.
They're not gonna start game planning around Noah Brown.
You better at least see him or something. I mean, but I also think that Noah, for some reason, that scramble drill, him and CJ kind of know what the hell is going on for some reason. It's almost like they've been playing together for a while. So
yeah, some kind of Buckeye synergy or something. I don't know what's going on.
Noah wasn't doing too much at Ohio State
at all.
B. Scott, I appreciate you. I'm going to get to the CJ press conference. You don't have to stay for that because you were actually there. So we'll hear your voice on it. So you don't have to hang out for a press conference. I know our press conference out.
I'm gonna jump out and join everybody else in the comment section and watch. So yeah, let's do it.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man. That's Brand Scott. Great Brand Scott. Always on the scene. Let's hear from the quarterback, though. Appreciate everyone for coming through. This is going to be a fun game. This is going to be a very exciting game. Going to be some fun vibes. Let's go to the podium. Let's hear from CJ Stroud, what he had to say.
Yeah, they're really talented. Definitely up front. 2 former teammates of mine, Barron and Coop, who set the edge really well. They make plays. High for guys. Great rushing the ball. You got to be keep 2 hands on the ball. They try to get the ball out a lot. And Simmons, 31, is a great player. Surtain, of course, I think if he's not the best corner, he's definitely top 3. But he's my favorite corner in the league right now. I got a lot of respect for that guy. So we got our hands full, man. They're a great team, and we got to bring our A game, man, and go get a dub at home.
CJ, their defensive backs like to play super aggressive, especially towards wide receivers coming across the middle. As a quarterback, how do you keep your wide receivers out of those positions?
I'm always looking in front of them. I mean, their DC is really good. He's a great play caller. He puts his players in position to win really well. And I think towards the end of the year, they've cut down on as much as they've done. Like a lot, like there's still a lot of stuff, but not as much in variety. More just letting his players play, as you can, what I can tell, of just letting his players play man and letting his safeties eat from there and his backers fill everything up with the run game, and letting his D-line hunt. So he's doing a great job of putting everybody in position to win that I can tell from film, and a lot of respect for those guys over there.
How much has Bobby Slowick helped you out this year and helped you get to the point where you are this season?
He's helped me tremendously. He's one of the people that I appreciate because he's very honest with me, holds me accountable.
You can tell they're getting those Bobby Slowick head coach candidate stories ready. I see y'all.
Game in and game out, no matter how good or bad people say, he's always has a coaching point or two to hit, and he's really honest, which I appreciate. And he's really smart. He knows when to call certain plays, when not to, and my job is always make him right. And I feel like we have a good chemistry on what we've built these last couple of weeks, and we're just going to keep growing from there. But he's been a tremendous help.
CJ, how do you feel like you've done this year in balancing wanting to make that big play and also take care of all of it? I mean, just making overall good decisions.
I think I've gotten better over the weeks. I definitely feel like I've done a decent job of taking care of football, and that was a big goal of mine, just because I just wanted the coaches to trust me to call those shots, and if it's not there, I'm going to make the play right. And I feel like this last game definitely showed my maturity because they really took away all our deep shots, and I was running the ball, checking it down, trying to do my best, just extending the play if I had to. So just taking steps and strides every week has definitely been a goal of mine, and I feel like I've done a decent job of that. And just controlled aggression has definitely been the two words I use, is just being aggressive when it's there, but being smart and controlling that whenever it's not.
This is going to be a question about when the game slowed down for him. You can't hear it. It's Kim Davis. Shout out to Kim.
I would say probably like around in the preseason. Like that's something that I wish even in college we had, was like a preseason warm-up game or whatever. But you get to get your feet wet out there and test the water, see what throws you can make, see what throws you can. And then practice has been huge for me. So and then there's a lot of conversation with our DBs here, like our linebackers, seeing what they see that I can improve on. So just a lot of feedback from them. And just like making mistakes, I think the best teacher is failing. So I failed a lot, and I've learned from those mistakes, and I've been growing from that since I came in rookie minicamp. So it's been kind of cool to see the progress, not only for myself, but really from this team and every rookie that we have. There's a rookie almost in every position group that's making plays. So it's really exciting to see that, and we got to keep going from there.
This is about his faith here. And you'll hear a Brevin Jordan mention as well here in the locker room.
Yeah, it helps the locker room a lot. I mean, of course, us being Christians, a big thing for that is just fellowship. And we've been able to have a lot of great chapel services. We have like DT, who sends us scriptures all the time, and it's really good to just be around a group of men of God that really love the Lord. So I know that we're all holding each other accountable when it comes to stuff like that. And Brevin had a really touching and good word on Saturday. And if you didn't have respect for that guy, which I know everybody does, but you definitely do now. So.
And I actually asked Brevin, I'll give you all a little snippet from the Brevin Jordan interview, the exclusive Brevin Jordan interview. And then we'll get back to CJ. I asked him, what the hell did you say? Probably shouldn't have said it like that when we're talking about faith, but potty mouth, whatever. Here's Brevin Jordan talking about that. You'll hear this interview tomorrow, 11, Sports Radio 610. You're going to like Brevin Jordan.
Can you give us a little glimpse of what you said? Maybe just a summary or something?
Oh, man, it was just a story about, last year it was a tough year for me, and we just it was a chapel service where everybody got to bring their own verse, and everybody, you know, guys that got to share their verse and why it impacts them and just everything, you know, why they pertain to their lives. Everybody got to share a little verse, and I just shared mine, and I was the first one up actually. And I think, you know, just based off last year, man, it was a tough year for everybody. Everybody's excited about this year, but man, we had to go through the trials last year to get to where we are today. So it was just telling my story about last year. It was pretty dope.
And just it's been cool just to see, like, because, you know, coming from college, you don't really know like what it's gonna be like. But ever since I've been here, I've got nothing but like just a new group of brothers, not only as a football team, but as men in Christ. So it's been really amazing just to grow with them and have an ability just to be able to talk through our issues and our mistakes with one another. Like I have a conversation with Case about our faith every week, like, and it's just like kind of just on accident. Like we just kind of like talking to it. So it's really cool just to have a group of brothers that you can lean on.
If I could just real quick on that, knowing your brother's why when you're out there on the field and wanting to fight that little bit extra more because you know the why, because you have that relationship, what does that do for a team on the field?
It helps a lot. I mean, it's a lot of hard work that we put in, so that's part of that. And then on top of that, like you said, just knowing people's reason why they work as they do, and you want to get everybody paid. You want to get people to have a good family dynamic at home. Like, I feel like all this stuff, this game of football is a life game, you know. So it's it can teach you a lot of life lessons, and I feel like as the Texans, we're growing together in every aspect, and we're playing for one another, which I feel like you can see on Sundays, and you just got to keep that going.
CJ, a lot of people really liked your touchdown celebration against the big boy one, and I was just wondering, how did you land on that, and how do you come up with those? It seems like a big thing across the league that everybody's trying to kind of outdo each other with the cool touchdown celebration. Yeah,
I think it's cool. I definitely love like that we were able to kind of celebrate our touchdowns and this is an entertainment sport, so like I don't think I'll get a fine, but hopefully I don't. But like I think, man, this is like we want people to tune in, right? So like let us have a little more time to celebrate. Like I feel like I have a couple cool stuff still in the bag, but the baby boy stuff just I was watching it. I watch it all the time. It's a top 5 movie of mine. And I mean, I'm from SoCal, and it's a movie that I just was like, man, I think that would be hard if we can reenact that. So it was funny, and shout out to Denzel, aka George, who sold it really well. He like Denzel Washington out there. That was hard. He like fell out perfect, but we got a couple of stuff that we're gonna pull out, but we got to start winning. So.
Just like Kim alluded to earlier, we don't really look at you as a rookie. You know,
Talking about the rookie wall. He said he didn't. This is Sarge. He said he didn't look at him as a rookie. What? Sure, he appreciates that. Definitely a rookie, though. But this is going to be about the hitting the rookie wall.
I don't believe in stuff like that. I think for me, like my mindset ever since I've been a kid is like, what's next? Like, how can I keep improving? How can I keep going? So I'm not trying to sit up here and act cool like I'm perfect. Of course, like I get tired, I'm fatigued. Like, I'm tired sitting up here right now. But like, I'm gonna just keep going because I know it's bigger than me, you know. So I don't really believe. I believe like there's only a wall if you allow there to be in your mind. So I don't allow myself to take a shortcut or have a day off or have an off day. Like that just doesn't fly with me. I think you're uncommitted or unmotivated if that kind of happens. This is what I asked for. It's what I signed up for. I don't feel bad for myself. I'm blessed to be in the position I am. And like I said before, it's not easy, but anything great in life isn't going to be easy. Like y'all fought where y'all have been to get to this point. I know it hasn't been easy for you guys sitting in these chairs right now. So but that's everybody's position, you know. So that's to really, I say this because I want like kids and like people who like look up to me, whatever you want to call it. Like everything's a mindset. I believe is like you can find a reason why you can keep going, and sometimes it's imagination, sometimes it's just realism and looking yourself in the mirror, holding yourself accountable. So I try to do that to myself as best of my ability. Of course, I have my days where like, man, I'm tired, but like those are the days. I remember Chris Olave. I know I'm long-winded. Sorry. Chris Olave, and we were in college, It's my true freshman year. It was COVID year. It was really tough, like away from family the whole year. And we were like, didn't know if we were going to play or not. And this was like our first day of like fall camp. I think we were done after like we had to go home after something crazy because COVID happened. And we came back and we were lifting. And I was like, dang, bro, I'm tired. Like, Chris, I know you've been practicing hard, bro. Like, aren't you tired? He's like, man, on the days I'm tired, like, that's the day I have to do it. Like, I have to tell myself, like I have to do this. And ever since that, it kind of stuck with me. So just a little nugget, man. I try to just give a little bit.
There you go. That's CJ Stroud, man. Easy to root for. Man, it does probably get a little bit tiring, though, around this time. It'd be nice if they just get this dub and then be able to cruise a little bit. Appreciate everyone for coming through the Brevin Jordan exclusive interview, 11 a.m. tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. If you don't know much about him, I think you'll become a fan of him and his path as well, his purpose. Good dude. Although he did jump on the I won't even tease it. He jumped on the Henry Toho, Robert Woods, 2 other exclusive interviews we've had the past month, in and out train. And they're not big on Whataburger. Sorry. I know there's a loyal following there. God knows I've eaten some Whataburger, but they are not down with that. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Thank you very much to everyone. I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate you listening on the radio. The ratings have been incredible. And here, this has been fun as well. Most consistent source of Texans digital content. Seems like the interest is getting up, which is awesome. The more the merrier. Shout out to everyone else doing their digital thing. And I just appreciate everyone for rolling through. And I appreciate that we got some good football to talk about instead of having to gut it out through the old stuff, where I think we're probably like 14, 15 months into the stream, been on the show for 6-7 years. And it's fun. We don't take it lightly. We don't just go in, turn on a mic. We take it very serious. We do not sugarcoat. We're very honest. And we try to just give you the best coverage of the football team that you can get, whether it's popular or not. And we put a lot into it. So I appreciate y'all. Damn, I'm more long-winded than CJ. But talk to y'all tomorrow, 10 a.m. in the Loop, Sports Radio 610. I always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Thank y'all so much.
You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not 2. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days. Opinions to give. We got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number 1. You don't need to try your luck.